Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. I'm excited to get started talking today, continuing on social selling and talking about ways to repurpose content. I'm going to forego any tip. I like to give a tip for those of you who show up early and on time, but my tip for today is let's just get started because I got so much to get talking about that I want to dive in to make sure I'm able to cover down on the time. So let me just share my screen and we're going to get rocking and rolling. Wait 1 second here. And good morning to those of you chatting into the chat. Definitely put your company name and core competency in there so people can come back and see who you are. Okay, we're going to talk about repurposing content today, and I'm jumping right into it because it's such a good topic that I've got 10 ways to repurpose, and I have a lot of information to share. Today is not training you how to do a particular way. So if I say, for example, podcast, I'm not teaching you how to do a podcast today, right? That's a whole separate training. I'm telling you about the ways to do it. So one of the things I really want you to keep in mind, for everybody to keep in mind, right? It does you no good to be an expert or for your company to be an expert if no one knows who you are. I talk about government contracting. It's not a process, or it's not a secret. It's just a process. Too often we keep things secret. And one of the worst secrets we companies keep to ourselves is how great we are. The information we have. Information is a commodity now. You want to share it out because your way of sharing that information is what makes you valuable. Not the fact that you know how to do this, this, or this, but it's your experience that goes into it. So we want to make sure people know who you are, and repurposing really helps with that. In today's training, I'm going to primarily be talking about, as you can see over on the left-hand side, the 10 different ways, but I want to start off with just setting the stage for the content I'm going to share. So I have a main piece of content. That's my example piece of content. And I'm going to talk about the 10 ways I might reshare that major piece of content that I have. And then I want to end with why it's important to repurpose your content. In case some of you can't stay to the end, well, at least you get the 10 tips that I really want to make sure you have. And I don't hold you hostage till the end. Okay, if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. And again, I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. And a process goes from A to Z. When you follow it, you have repeatable, predictable results. And you can have that same thing with repurposing the content that you create. And that's what I'm going to start talking to you, is the introduction of that process so that you have repeatable, predictable results of people finding you, federal buyers finding you. I did want you to put into the chat, just answer a question as we get started, a little mini survey, if you will, about how often do you currently post anything, whether it's a major piece of content or a minor piece of content. Put that into the chat if you're live, or the comments if you're watching a replay. And just tell me one of three ways, right? Are you doing it daily? Are you doing it weekly? Or not really often at all? So not often. Just put one of those three answers, daily, weekly, or not often, into the comments and chat. I'd love to come back and look at that and see, because it helps me decide what other training we want to do going forward. The last thing before we get started, I just want to say thank you to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce sustaining members. Without you, we couldn't do all the great things that we do. We put out a lot of content, a lot of eBooks out there, and a lot of training, obviously, for small businesses across the country. And we don't take money from the federal government or from large primes. We get it from sustaining members like you and me. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the small businesses that are out there. Okay, let's dive into the first. I want to set the stage of the training we're doing today on the ways you can repurpose content, right? But I want to talk about the original piece of content I'm using. For you, it can be anything, right? I'm actually going to use a LinkedIn Live training from today. Imagine this very training, and that's my main piece of content, and I want to repurpose it. But you could use things like white papers. Maybe somebody in your company has written a white paper. It's 2, 5, 10 pages long. Consider that the main piece of content that you will then repurpose. You can use case studies. I was just working with a customer yesterday who has 5 case studies, and we're going to show her how to repurpose that content in bite-sized information that people can consume and come back and learn about our company, right? And then webinars, et cetera. Think about today's live training as basically a webinar. So for me, I'm doing this live training, right, that we're doing right now. And as we move forward, it'll last 30 minutes for this one particular topic about how to repurpose. So I'm saying to myself, I have a topic that's 30 minutes long that I just trained people on, the 10 ways or 10 of the ways you can repurpose your content. But right in the beginning, before I even get to the 10 ways and we start moving through them, I just wanted to point out that we're on LinkedIn. That's where I'm at, right? I come in and I'm on multiple platforms, but I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I live and breathe, because that is the only platform that we can truly engage with professionals and federal buyers. Federal buyers are not on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, et cetera. They really are not. Even if you see some dabblings, they're here. This is the professional network. And I don't mean to disparage the other ones, but they all have certain purposes, right? And this one is an extension of initially getting a job, resumes. LinkedIn grew into a true professional network where we're here and we're talking about our experiences. And so that's why I'm live here. But simultaneously, we are live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter, because it's easy for me to restream. So before I even get to the 10 ways of repurposing the content, I literally don't have to do anything extra to repurpose to 3 other platforms. And I meet people, new people every single day because they're watching on YouTube, for example. And then I go over there, I engage them, and I bring them back in here. And I'm like, come back in here. This is where the community's at. So this is where we're starting. Everything I'm going to talk about, keep in mind, this is the original source piece of content I want to repurpose. So I'm going to watch my time and move forward pretty fast. You can come back, watch it again. Later on, I'll do an infograph so it's easier for you to see this. But the first place, in no particular order on how I do this, but the first place I'm going to repurpose my content, right, is on YouTube. And I just want to explain. Right now, I just said I'm live broadcasting on YouTube. But in YouTube, there's 2 sections in your channel. You have a live events area, and then you have uploaded videos. Well, the uploaded videos get way more visibility and traction long-term than the lives. The lives do really well for today, but after today, people hardly can see it or find it. Even if they came to my channel, it's not easy to find. And so we decided we always want to be making sure we're grabbing that live video and uploading it onto YouTube. And so here are 5 steps that I use to upload it onto video. We download this live training. I mean, it happens literally within the half hour after this event. Cecilia laid in the steps yesterday, I think. We download the video, we trim it, and we do not edit the middle. If I make silly mistakes inside, who cares, right? It's authentic and it's live. But we trim the 2 or 3 minutes that are the beginning part where I'm just live, but I'm not talking. And we trim the very end if I let it run for a couple of minutes. We trim those in, and that's done. So that's step number 1. We upload the video to YouTube. We add a brief description of the training, and not a lot. We used to go crazy, and now we don't because people really don't read it much. But really what Cecilia does is she pulls it from my opening. What we have gotten on our team, what we have gotten good at is understanding that we want to put a description into YouTube. And we're like, well, Neil, why don't you get better at describing the video at the beginning of the training, right? And so we generally can just pull that right from the opening. Often she's writing it while I'm live, like right now. She's not here today, but and so as we each of us are working on our different parts, we're doing that. Step 4 is we add a default description. So in YouTube, I can have a default description. Every time I upload a video, it adds this set of content. So we do that once and it's done. And it adds that below that step 3 of a training brief description that we put in. Last thing we do is do a thumbnail. We don't do anything fancy. We got away from this and we said, look, we just want a basic thumbnail. Here's the topic and here's the guy who's teaching it, right? And so we use the invitation image that I send out on LinkedIn or other places. We use that within YouTube. And more than often than not, we don't even have to upload it. We just watch the video, select it, and it's done. So literally these 5 steps take, it depends on the upload time for YouTube, but the actual time that it takes for us to do it is 15 minutes or less. So the second place will repurpose content as we go forward. By the way, as I'm going forward, if you have certain favorites, put it into the chat. If you have thoughts, if you're just watching or listening, that's totally cool too. So the second place I'm going to repurpose this live training that we're doing is we'll write a short blog. And we do this generally within the first hour or 2 following the training. We'll go over to our website. We'll write a short form blog. And what I mean by short form is I'm not trying to take the entire transcript and bring it over. Imagine 2,000 words. We're probably looking for like 300 to 500 words. And what I do, our team does, right, is we use the slides, and we've gotten good at using slides. Even if I don't show you the slides, I'm still talking to slides. I'll use the slides as the outline of the blog, right? Let's say 4 to 5 paragraphs or sections. And then we'll just write a quick little summary. For example, short blogs would be an entry within the blog we're doing. And here we would literally just say something about just use 2 or 3 paragraphs at most in your blog or something. So third bullet here, I say include a trim video. So we just uploaded the video to YouTube. We can bring that video back, either download it and upload it into the blog itself. So our platform allows us to do that. And sometimes we like doing that. And other times you can link it back to YouTube. Either way is fine, right? But I'm including a trim video. So now our blog has a video at the top generally with a text part that's below it. That text part, most importantly, is engaging and helping buyers find you who might be trying to look for you. So I already said the blog is under the GovCon Chamber website, but you can also put this out. There's a lot of places you could create blogs, and Medium is an example. So you might consider putting it out there. But again, it takes a short amount of time. This entire process never takes us more than an hour. We're actually trying to streamline it down even more because I have basically written the blog with the training, with the talking that I'm doing. Now our job is to just be able to pull those nuggets together and fit them in. You're going to see us talk more about using ChatGPT, where we take it from an hour to like 5 minutes to write a blog. And it's our content. ChatGPT is just doing the work. Third step is, third place you can repurpose content is you can upload an audio file of the live training that I just did. I can upload it as a podcast. And so when you think about podcasts on Apple phones, we've got the iTunes, you got Google Play, you've got Spotify. We're in like 10 different places. So we put it in one place and it goes to 10 other platforms. So it's getting broad reach. You can think about each one of those being repurposed. I took one audio file and I'm repurposing 10 places. And the way I do it, just like YouTube, I download the audio file and we trim the ends. And then we upload the audio file. Instead of YouTube, we do it to this platform called Spreaker. That's who I use. It's who I like. But it's a hosting platform. And by putting it there, it allows me to distribute it to a lot of other places. Inside of there, just like YouTube, step 3 and 4 is to put a description of the training and put a default description about our organization so that now we've got a good description in there. One of the beautiful parts, and then we do a thumbnail, same thing. We can have an image thumbnail so each blog or each podcast has its own image. But when we post this, we're pushing it out as podcasts to all these different platforms. But we can also then push it out to Twitter. So from each one of these places we're going, you almost always can create a tweet, which we'll talk about next. So the next one is creating multiple tweets for Twitter. We want to be able to take the training I'm doing today, and you can see it. Look over on the left-hand side. I should be able to do at least 10 tweets, right? If I have 10 ways you can repurpose the content, I should have at least 10 tweets that can go out on Twitter and communicate. So the way we do this, and again, today is not a training on how to do each one of these ways. Today's a training on the 10 ways that you could repurpose content. But let me give you my tips on how we do it. We download the transcript of the training, right? And we used to, and I don't know if that sentence makes sense there, but bullet 2, we used to do all of our tweets ourselves, right? We do our stuff. We try to find tweetable moments in the training that we've done. And if you're not aware, we've done 300 of these trainings in a row in the last, 15 months or so. And so we would write our own. But now we use ChatGPT. In 30 seconds, we can get it to give us 10 or 20 tweets. We give it the content or the transcript of our session. We say, write us some tweets, and it does. And it gives us some really good ones. In fact, let me see if I can pop right back here for 1 second. So I did literally what I just said, right? Can you see this? It says, can you write me some tweets based on the following text? I'm looking for 10 tweets. That's all I said. And then I gave it my transcript, right? And it came back here and it gave me tweets. Want to make a mark in the federal market, attention federal sellers, calling all federal sellers. Now I'll come back here and suggest to it that, it's being a little salesy and I don't like that. I like being more giving value and then you'll find us compared to forced selling. But it did that in literally 10, 15 seconds, right? So 20 tweets. And then we schedule those tweets. It gave me 10. I could have easily asked for 20 or 30, but it gives me these tweets and we just schedule it out so they're dropping however we want. And in Twitter, it makes sense to be dropping multiple tweets a day or something. But it's this idea of using ChatGPT to be able to write that quickly from the transcript. So when we do our training today, the transcript is available almost immediately. And then within the 30 minutes to an hour, we're able to shove this into our process to get the tweets. And then we schedule them in our scheduling tool and it's out there, right? So it's a way to repurpose it. But you can also then repurpose those very tweets, maybe change the language a little bit, but you can shape it so that it drops on other platforms, LinkedIn if you want, Instagram, etc. By the way, TikTok is dead. Don't ever use TikTok. I mean, if I have to explain it to you, you're not understanding that the federal government doesn't want to use it. And so we, government contractors, should not use it. And we certainly shouldn't be jumping on it. I'm sure that is a very debatable topic. Feel free to reach out to me and I won't really dive into it too much, but your government customer doesn't use it. So don't bother using it yourself. All right, video shorts. So this next one is creating short 60-second, 30 to 60-second videos from the content you did. Like sometimes I do a short video and it literally is me sitting here coming up with something I wanted to share that lasts 60 seconds, right? There's a guy, Mike Lejeune, who's a friend of ours in the GovCon space, who does training as well. And I see him do that often. He's not snipping. He's actually giving you his thoughts. Hey, I recommend you do this, or here's a great way to do this. That's one way to do shorts. And another way to do shorts is if you do something like I'm doing where I have 30 minutes of training, I can go in and grab out portions where I might have said something wise that you would find useful later, so I can snip it out. And the way we do that is we download the video of the training that we just did. We identify parts of it that could be shorts. And so most often what happens is people watch the video during it and we're like, oh, that would be a good short. Oh, he said that well. And it's like, okay, let's do it. Right. I do these trainings every day. So there's not a lot of practice at all that goes, well, there's no practice that goes into my training. So sometimes even I'm surprised at what I'm telling you because it's spur of the moment suggestions or stories or recollections, right? And our team looks at it and goes, oh, that'd be a good short because somebody would like it. And so step 3, we snip those shorts out. You can use any tool you want. I use just free tools where I literally copy a file and snip it down to the part I want and throw the rest away. But you can use whatever tool you want so that you're snipping out the shorts. And then you kind of like the YouTube videos, you upload the short into YouTube. You could upload it into Twitter, into Instagram, or even onto LinkedIn. Some of these platforms you can upload a lot. Like Twitter, you could do 10 of them and have them in one every hour or whatever. In LinkedIn, you don't want to do that much because it crowds it. LinkedIn's algorithm will kill you. But the idea of creating these shorts is that they can be reused on any of the platforms that are out there. And and again, this idea of when you do something like I'm doing here, where it's a 30-minute training on these 10 topics, 10 ways to repurpose, I should be able to generate at least 3 to 5 shorts from today's training. So I'm going to try to do one on the handout. I'm going to try to talk for 60 seconds on the handout and give Cecilia and the others a short. So one of the ways you can repurpose your content is to create a handout. Handouts show the main point that you were trying to cover. So I might do a handout like for today's training on the 10 ways to repurpose your content. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen that I did a handout for the 7-step process for federal revenue success. I did a whole training around the 7-step process, but then I put it into a picture that makes it simple for people to follow the 7 steps. And so I could do that with any of my training, and you might be able to do that as well. And so when you create a handout, you want to put it on your website or your blog so people can come and get it. I say that you should make it gate-free generally. The more valuable it is, you could require an email to be able to download it. Gate-free just means how many hoops are you going to make people jump through to get your content. The less you make them jump through, the more people who will download your content. A handout is always one page. It's just one page that people can put up on a wall. In fact, this one that I have for the 7-step process, I did a live training with the SBA and I saw somebody on the video had it up on their wall and they said, yeah, I look at it every day. So it was great. And when you create that handout, you can share handouts on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, but you can also share it on email. So if you have an email following, you can shoot it out saying, hey, we did a training recently and created a handout. I don't know if you were at the training, but I think you'd value this handout. So let me share it with you. So another way that you can repurpose content is to create an ebook. And this is one that I kind of like. And so an ebook in the marketing world, we call it a lead magnet, right? And the idea is you're attracting your magnetic pool leads or potential buyers, right? So you're trying to attract potential buyers with an ebook or something of real value, right? You're not trying to bait and switch. You're trying to give real value. For example, the training I'm doing today, solid real value, no sales pitch, right? And so you want to create that as a downloadable PDF, an ebook, right? And 5 to 20 pages is what I'm recommending. Anything more begins to become more than just a free ebook. It becomes something of more value that maybe you should be selling. And don't feel like you have to fill it with a ton of words, right? A ton of text. You want just enough text to be able to have value, but you might be able to do it that way I was doing handouts, where you can showcase with much larger words and some graphics the points you're trying to get across. I personally use ChatGPT to write ebooks, and I'm going to get better and better at this. But I take this training, even this training I just did today, I will download it. I will run the transcript into ChatGPT and tell it, I want to create an ebook. I want it to be 5 pages. I want to be able to cover the main points. Give me a suggestion, right? It's not writing the ebook. It's helping me write the ebook. I already wrote the ebook through the training I did, right? So now I'm using ChatGPT as somebody who's got good editing skills or suggestions for how to do outlines. Perfect marriage, right, of ChatGPT and the subject matter expert. So when you create this ebook, you can then share it on a website for people to download. You can put it out there. And what I suggest is, because the ebook has more value potentially than a single page handout, maybe the handout people can get without putting any information in, but the ebook, maybe they have to put their email in, or maybe you ask for their email address and their company name and their own name. A lot of stuff that I put out there, I don't even ask anybody for anything except for their email address. And usually the only reason I ask for that is because I want to be able to keep them aware of what's going on. So one of the last things about the ebook is, if you tie that together with repurposing content by creating a handout, the handout can be used as a magnet to the ebook, which is another magnet. And what you're doing is guiding your buyer through this journey of seeing your expertise, and they're learning through this content you're creating. You're not doing any bait and switch. You're literally giving people real stuff, and your buyers are going to say, I love what you put out. Can you come talk to us about it so we can go further? That's the idea of the content. And I'll talk more about that in a second. I'm just watching my time as I cruise through these 10 ways. So another way, the 8th way that you can repurpose content, is to create a LinkedIn carousel. And so a carousel to me is simply slides, right? People can get fancy about the talk, but basically it's a slide deck that's put into social media. So in this case, I'm talking about LinkedIn, and it would be tips that you want to share. An example, again, from today's training is I would create a carousel, and it would have at least 10 slides, and every slide would be one of the 10 ways that I just said that you could repurpose the content. It would not have a lot of words. In this case, the font would probably be like 60 point font, right? Really, really big font. I'm not trying to tell you a story, just trying to get you to go through the slide. I wanted to share one example. Right here, I created this post a little while ago, and this is just an example, but this one was just to tell people about, hey, we got the training. And so the carousel is this thing here. And if I just make it bigger for a second, I just created this. I was hoping to catch people's attention, saying, hey, we're doing training. And then you have the slides, and the slides are where you get to the point. For me, this carousel was about just saying, here's 10 different days of training, how to create a PowerPoint deck using AI, how to write marketing blogs and articles using AI, how to create capabilities video using AI, how to prepare for sales meetings for using AI. And my favorite, how to use GPT to get past business hurdles when you're stuck and you're trying to figure out what to do. So that simple thing worked out perfect for people to be able to see the tips I wanted to show. And so you can create a LinkedIn carousel with your main content as well. By the way, sorry, just going back, you can go to ChatGPT, give it your main content. Let's say you wrote a white paper, give ChatGPT the text and say, hey, I want to create a carousel with 10 slides. Can you give me 10 slides, no more than 5 words per slide? It will give you feedback, right? That's totally okay. It's a great use of a tool like ChatGPT. Okay, number 9 is create LinkedIn posts. And I'm going to show you an example here, but LinkedIn posts, think of it like an expanded Twitter tweet, right? So if Twitter's got 140 or 200 something characters, then LinkedIn, you can do 1,500 characters, I think, or something in a post. You don't need that many, but you have a little bit more, but you want to be able to share some tips that came out of the training. So for me, I might create 10 LinkedIn posts, one for each one of the 10 ways that you can repurpose content. And then I can schedule them. LinkedIn allows you to schedule your posts so you can drop them out. So they drop at a regular clip and you don't have to be there doing it. So let me just show you an example of one I did. This one I think is this morning. Yeah, so for those of you watching live, this is this morning. I think it's June 1st, Thursday. But here I did exactly what I'm teaching you, right? Here I said, let me zoom in really quick. I said, it does you no good to be an expert in your company if no one knows that you exist. And then coming down here, I said, hey, 10 ways to repurpose your content. And then I gave the 10 ways. The very thing I'm teaching you, by the way, sign up for my newsletter. But the very thing I'm teaching you, right, is something I put right in here into this post. So the last one I want to talk about, and this is one of my favorite ones too, is when you have really good content, like today's content, I think is really good. I can polish it up from a 30-minute training to an email drip campaign training. But the idea of this is, think about a master class. If I said, or a mini class, if I sat there and said, hey, sign up for my mini master or my mini class on 10 ways to repurpose your content, here's the 10 ways, right? So I have the 10 different emails or 10 different trainings that I'm going to do. And I'm going to drop a tip once a day. So if I have 10 of them, I'm going to drop it once a day. And people can sign up for this on the website. Because this is so much more valuable, I'm going to make them give me more information. Tell me what city and state you're in. Tell me what socioeconomic status you are. Things like that. That would help me have more value in knowing who you are, because maybe I want to reach out to you and start talking to you, right? So depending on the value of the content you provide, you can ask for more information. Let me give you an example of today's training that I'm doing on the 10 ways to repurpose content. I might create, like I just said, 10 ways to repurpose your content to reach federal buyers. That's the name of my mini class or my mini training. Every 3 days, and I'll tell you in the, where you're signing up, every 3 days, we'll send you an email with a different way to repurpose your content, providing step-by-step guidance and a short video training. So now it's telling me that I'm just going to do like, hey, here's what you do, kind of what I put in the slide. And then I would show you in a video how I go into ChatGPT and create tweets, for example. I would go in and show you how I create a carousel. And that's what I'm saying in that paragraph. And then like I said before, you could do this for free, or I might charge a small fee. For me, it makes sense that I would do it for free or charge a fee, because I'm reaching out business to business. For you, and most of us, we're reaching out to the government. You generally are not charging a fee, but what you do want is for them to give you, like, they must have a .gov or .mil address. They must have this kind of thing, because you're creating the content for that audience. But if you can get them to sign up for that course, free is okay, because now you're in the door and they're learning how great you are at whatever you're teaching them, whether it's, the repurposing content or how to maintain elevators or how to do SharePoint, et cetera. All right, so what I want you to remember from today's training, and I know I did a lot here, and definitely watch for where I'm going to put out an infographic with this information. But if you want these 10 tips, just go into that post I showed you on my profile, engage it, tell me whether you liked it. But there's the 10 tips right in there. But the things I want you to remember is that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. And repurposing will help you maximize that visibility, right? That's getting people to know you. And repurposing content, quality content where you're giving value, is going to help build trust in your potential buyers, customers. And then the last thing is repurposing content. It puts you front of mind when buyers are ready to buy. I have many people who say to me, I've been watching and consuming your content for years. And I'm always like, how come you didn't tell me? Let me know you were out there. But they never do. And that's fine. I consume content where I don't always say I do. But that's the idea. When you're repurposing the content, you're kind of being out there in a visible way for when the buyers are looking, as they consume your content and see you and learn from your content that you have repurposed out there. When they have a need, I need to talk to somebody about requirements, or I need to buy from somebody, you're going to be one of the ones that come right to the top of their memory, because you're the one they've been learning from for the last 6-12 months on the topics that you've been sharing. So, hey, if you'd like any help with being visible to federal buyers, DM me. This is for companies that have already got traction. But if you'd like to have us help you with your social media outreach, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. And then if you're getting value from these trainings, become a sustaining member today. Just go to the website, govconchamber.com, and sign up. It's right there on how to become a member. The last thing is, just remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.